Welcome to part 50 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. What was missing after upload video cut off at the 10-minute mark was the fact of Edgeworth and the judge's surprise that the weapon was already missing a blade, and that was used by Joe Dark, apparently. Meaning that there's something wrong with this picture. So that's where we're at right now, trying to figure out exactly what is this picture about. Because if it wasn't Joe Dark stabbing Neil Marshall, then what exactly is it? Which is probably why Phoenix Wright had repeatedly asked her so many times. And she actually tried to tell the truth, but there is another explanation to the murder weapon. And here's the thing. The evidence is actually falsified. In fact, that knife was plunged into the back of Neil Marshall, as I told you in the last part. But if that was the knife that was plunged into Neil, then what was the knife in the picture? As a matter of fact, the police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony for the King of Persecutors Award, which that award is cursed, just like the Imperial Seal. And at that same time, Joe Dark turned himself in for questioning. And he ended up sneaking into the police office trying to kill Neil Marshall and somehow succeeded, but that's a lie. The man she saw was holding up the broken knife. Well, we're about to actually reveal that the Switchblade wasn't the murder weapon, but the quote-unquote murder weapon was actually a weapon in self-defense. There is, just say there's another one, because there is another knife. Remember the prosecutor statute. All we had to do is just remember, hey, there was a statue that was given to Edgeworth and it had no halberd. That's because Neil Marshall used the halberd to try to defend himself and at least apprehend the murderer. So, don't accidentally miss the Gant team picture. If you do, it's a 2 credibility hit. So yes, the awards ceremony trophy was the actual attempted murder weapon. It wasn't really a murder weapon at all. Due to the fact that persecutors can't carry guns, he used that halberd in order to try to subdue Joe Dark. And that is where we're at. And that's basically the point. It turns out that Jake Marshall was right. Neil Marshall actually was winning the fight. And obviously, since prosecutors can't carry any guns, I'll look at Edgeworth, he doesn't have a gun. And remember, he mentioned that he doesn't have a gun back in Turnabout Goodbyes because prosecutors aren't allowed to carry. So in other words, well, the gun was actually not his. So Now Edgeworth is baffled. That means, Joe Dark would have been murdered instead of Neil Marshall. But that's the thing. He wasn't murdered. I know it's really confusing, but if you stop and think about it, it wasn't the fact that Neil Marshall was about to lose. It was the fact that Emma pushed him off of Joe Dark because she thought Joe Dark was the one about to kill him, when he was in all actuality trying to subdue him. And why did I mention Emma pushed him? Because that's exactly what she's about to say. And he showed the evidence list. And the evidence list also showed this picture, the picture of the Blue Badger. And she saw the Blue Badger. So therefore she drew it. So, the question is, how does the Blue Badger come into play? But more importantly, where did the Blue Badger came from? Well, I do believe it's time for us to actually add that into the witness testimony and find out exactly where this Blue Badger comes from. And ladies and gentlemen, if I'm not mistaken, this would be the part. This would be the part that would make things so annoying. Well, not the testimony, but how to reveal the Blue Badger is so annoying. So, as it turns out, Emma knocked one of the men away, the man with the knife, and that was actually Neil Marshall. So, you're gonna have to press the fifth statement with the unstable jar. That's the only thing that could make the Blue Badger. Because the Blue Badger hasn't even been designed by the chief of detectives at the time. In fact, he wasn't even existed 2 years ago. So in other words, the only reason the Blue Badger exists was because of the vase. And Lana's trying to do whatever she can to silence Emma for one reason and one reason only, to make sure that Emma does not reveal anything incriminating, which means she's hiding something. And on that note, Lana is about to go into temporary detainment for being in contempt of court. So on that note, Lana's gonna have to pretty much explain what's going on. Not Lana, Emma, sorry about that. But even then, it was going to be the last statement right here. You present the Blue Badger, no, you present the, actually you press the statement first, and then you present the unstable jar. And he mentions, no, and she did mention 3 creepy horns. So now we've come to the point, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the point where we have to actually use the unstable jar. Word of warning, this is going to be the most annoying thing in this entire case. And I'm gonna tell you, I despise this part. And word of warning to all of the iPhone players. The part that I'm about to do, this will glitch your entire game. You will be stuck at this part sometimes, and Apple has not fixed the iOS version, so sometimes you will be stuck at this part. Also, if you're trying to do this on the DS, you're using the stylus, plain and simple, which is completely and totally difficult. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for the worst minigame in the entirety of the game. You're going to have to first use the unstable jar to actually show that that's the Blue Badger lookalike. And then afterwards, we're gonna have to flip that thing to make it look like the Blue Badger. Oh dear Lord, have mercy. I will only show you once, but I have failed at least 5 times. But don't worry, credibility does not hit you in the attempts that you make. You're just going to be stuck there for quite some time. Ah, dear Lord. I hate what I'm about to do. So on that note, we're going to have to move the Blue Badger to the correct angle. You'll need the left thumbstick to rotate, and the left bumper and right bumper, or L1 and R1 for the PS2, or the stylus to actually rotate the jar to make it look like the Blue Badger in the picture. I tell you how finicky this game is, you have to make it on the exact angle. And I tried to, but unfortunately, it did not work. In fact, this barely was it. How annoying. I'll see you in a little bit. So on that note, I'll come back when I actually got the correct posture.
Stupid, 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 stupid.
Alright, let's do this one last time. Okay, you need to flip it over the other way, not through the top. Turn this over like so it won't be in balance, and then flip it down one last time, and then it's supposed to look like this. This is what it's supposed to look like. I think, hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, this is what it's supposed to look like. Now, a little bit more, and press take that. There you go. There's your Blue Badger. I hate this goddamn side quest. I mean, not side quest, this atrocious minigame. But one thing is perfectly clear. Because the jar has been flipped over to look like the Blue Badger, that means one thing. Someone was also in the office with them. Because that jar ended up being, well, picked up and held in a downward position. Meaning someone was planning on using that jar to knock out somebody. So, the question is, what's the point of all of this? And there's the answer. There was more than 3 people in that room. That would be one of the big questions. But there's also something. The blood on the jar. How about we actually check the location? Doesn't matter which one. Doesn't matter which one you take because they all change the scene. But the location is the best one because the murder didn't happen in Lana's office. The murder happened in Gant's. That's the only way that jar would be in the area. So in other words, this means once again Lana had went there and covered up something. And ladies and gentlemen, I did mention something about Lana stabbing something earlier back in the start of this case. That something, or should I say someone, was an already dead Neil Marshall. Which means one thing, the Switchblade didn't kill him. There was something also mentioned. There actually was one other thing in the area that people probably haven't noticed. There was a knight statue also in Gant's office as well. No, there is a knight statue in Gant's office. But still, there is that message on the jar, which, by the way, will play an important part in just a little bit. So, unfortunately, that's going to be the next thing we're going to be doing, uncovering the message on the jar. So we have no choice but to find out exactly what that message is. She accidentally pushed one of the killers, or should I say, the man holding up the knife. In other words, and the jar hit and flew in the jar was hit and flew in the air. And the only thing that could have set the jar flying would have been a very hard impact. And also, take a look. Yeah, the suit of armor with the halberd that just so happens to be there. So the real murder weapon wasn't a knife or the knife from the Persecutor's trophy. It was the halberd that was on the statue. And that is why, back in part 45, I was not mistaken, Gumshoe mentioned, oh no, actually no, it was 47 actually, Gumshoe mentioned that Gant had removed, no wait, no, it was actually 48, but as I was saying, Gumshoe had mentioned that he had removed all halberds from his office, and that's the reason why, because Neil Marshall landed on the halberd. And as it stands, there's still two things. The cloth that has Emma's handprints on it, and now the fact that Neil was accidentally pushed onto the halberd of a suit of armor. Meaning Neil was inadvertently killed by Emma. Oh, I thought the face accidentally was knocked down. My bad. I thought I jumped to conclusions, but somebody was also in that office too. But whatever the case, Emma just came to the realization that she may have killed Neil Marshall. And that is what Lana was trying to stop. And even worse on that regard, it was completely and totally covered up. And that means that's the only reason that Emma actually was even in the area was okay. Let me put it like this. That means the only reason why Gant even helped Lana was because of Emma. That's what I meant to say. Oh, unfortunately, Lana is trying to deny everything. Oh boy. We're gonna have to pull out the jar. Oh crap. This is not gonna work out. So on that note, we do have evidence. And again, the jar is bloody. Well, it's just a matter of time before... Sorry for the long pauses, but it's just a matter of time before we have to show that jar. And, well, it's about to get shocking in a few seconds. So, we're gonna have to pull out the unstable jar one last time. And have to prove to the court that the message from the victim exists. And this will be another minigame where also you'll probably be stuck in on the iOS. Because the iOS is glitched to hell. There's a lot of things in the iOS that is incomplete. Which begs the question, why would you even play games on it anyway? On that note, the only thing that Edgeworth and Phoenix is trying to find is the truth. Even if it means accusing someone who should in all counts not even be implicit in the murder, but is. So on that note, with two evidence meter at stake, we gotta have to reveal, once again, the unstable jar. Now this mini-game will have you to connect the dots on the jar itself. Let's just be blunt here. There is blood in the jar. And that blood right there is going to spell who I think it's going to spell out. So on that note, be prepared. Oh, and for the DS players, this is also where you're going to need to use the stylus. This is actually easy than flipping over that stupid face to make it look like the Blue Badger. Alright. Oh, and for the record, if this video has been hit with a copyright claim, the clip in question. But, let's just be honest. I'm not going to actually be so blunt about it. This is not as hard as the original thing that we did earlier, but like I said, for the iPhone, it is going to be tedious. Oh, and Lana's panic mode, she tends to bite her nails to the point where they actually draw blood. That's actually censored in the iOS version. I should also mention that too. So on that note, don't play the iOS version. Alright, so just stretch the bloodlines, and by the way, there's a 2 credibility meter if you fail this. So you have to do this right. No, not that. Not that. That doesn't connect to anything. But this does. No, you idiot. No. Thank you. Alright. We need to move this up, because you actually have a lot of chances, but you gotta spell the name Emma. And that's the problem. We have to spell the name Emma. And so long as it spells, it's going to work. However, if you go outside the lines, it's going to be a penalty. That has happened to me at least twice when I first played this game, so I'm letting you know now, it's going to be a penalty if you screw up. So, with that said, Neil Marshall left behind the killer's name. And Gant, who warned us all at the beginning of this trial, has mentioned that you're not gonna like the results. Well, looks like Damon Gant may be right. However, Damon's shady actions cannot be overlooked. So on that note, he may be winning for now. But we still have at least 4 more episodes. But even worse, it turns out that an innocent man, let's just say somewhat innocent man, has been sentenced to death because of Edgeworth. In other words, the real murderer still remains free for now. And Gant, unfortunately, means one thing. The prosecutor is probably going to take a very harsh penalty for, how should I say, wrongful death. If that is to say the least, even if it is forged. It's safe to say that Gant, for now, has pretty much got the crowd going and pretty much has things going his way for now. But one thing is perfectly clear. We're far from done. There was a third party in that room, if not a fourth. And we're going to find out eventually what's going on in the next episode of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. This is RFman 985. I'll see you in part 51 with Trial Ladder on the final day. Peace out, everybody.